Second attempt.
Tweede attempt.
How's it?
Plan B.
Plan
Goed.
B.
Lekker en
But
jy?
yeah, man, awesome. Nice to have you.
Ja.
For those of you that don't know, Catherine, you are an agency owner, Cyborg Digital,
Mhm.
and we've been friends since what 2018, 2019,
Yeah, I met you in a seminar room and I just liked your vibe and then yeah, that's it.
and then it was love at first sight.
Definitely. From my side, you were the best. I think it's just because you was very inspiring. I think a lot of times when people try and pick up new skills or you put yourself out there for new things, you were just a very inspiring, uplifting person for me. And I was actually in the middle of a massive career change. I thought I was always good at design and building basic websites and stuff. But when I actually worked at that agency, it was my crossroad for my personal career choices. And I met you and I was like, well, if he's doing fine and looking great, whilst doing it, I can do it. So yeah, you were a big part of my um, foundation in this industry. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that means the world to me. And I think we've had such a beautiful friendship. And you're literally one of the few people I would phone on my way home when I'm ready to bitch and moan about agency life.
Yeah. No, it can get hectic. I mean, I think why, and again, I know a lot of agency owners and I know a lot of people in the industry that do this, but I think why I've always resonated with you is you fundamentally care about people. And I think that is, I don't want to sound like a Make-A-Wish Foundation again, but, I promised myself before I leave this earth, I will try and do good things. And I think you are the same. And I think, therefore, when you speak about stuff with me, like this is happening in my agency, what's happening with your clients, it resonates with me because I know it's true and authentic. Where if somebody else just speaks about something, it's like, okay, but I don't know your soul, so yeah.
Dude, I really thought today was going to be a good opportunity for a conversation because I think more people need to truly understand what actually happens in the back of an agency.
Do they?
I do. I think they do. I think people need to know what happens in the back of an agency because everybody has got this idea that, well, from a client-facing point of view, people have this idea that we're going to hire an agency and we're going to just blow up our business. That's going to be as easy as that. And when it doesn't happen, they point fingers at the agency. But at the back of the agency, there's a lot of things that we can take accountability for, but there's a numerous amount of things we can't take accountability for. And often we get blamed for things we shouldn't get blamed for.
Mm.
And often we get put in containers.
Yeah.
And we're not really, we supposed to take accountability for the business's growth. We're supposed to take responsibility, but at the same time, depending on the business and the client you're working with, you get put in a container or you're working with two hands behind your back.
Yeah.
And I think it's just having a very authentic conversation of, a client point of view of what an agency is and what it actually should be for your business. And then also just from an agency owner point of view of what it's actually like, running an agency. Because it's not the .com lifestyle that everybody thinks it is.
It's nothing like that. It's like, I thought it was going to be like, cool, I just figured out conversion ads, I could do it on all the platforms. Essentially I'm a good media buyer, but I do think I understand people's needs. And I thought like, there's the check boxes, go. And then when I started business, it was like, this is so much more, like there's a list of things that you have to achieve and get right in order to be successful. But
and the funny thing is, even if you tick all those boxes, there's still a 20-30% chance that it will work.
It never stops.
So you can tick, this is what I've realized, like you can tick every single box as an agency owner or someone running the ads or taking control of the marketing. You can tick every single box, but all of that equates only to 30-40% of the probability of success.
It's all faith. It's all like from the get-go, it's like you have to believe that everything that you do will be the next best step forward for yourself or your client, and you have to back that up with data, and you have to cross-check your thoughts with your team. You have to cross-check that thoughts with ChatGPT. It doesn't end. But to kick off the conversation with you, that scene in the Notebook where he rips the girl and he's like, what do you want? That's how I feel with clients, because it's like, you know, I think the first thing that we need to understand in South Africa is we're dealing with a very distressed economy.
Oh.
This is not where, you know, people aren't planning to upgrade their LARP or pool or whatever, you know, summer just next month. You know, I think we're in an economy where people are feeling it, and I have a lot of sympathy for that, because I think that creates tension, it creates anxiety, it creates business owners or new business owners. They get into this kind of like spiral where they're trying to do everything, but they're not looking at North Stars or metrics that they should be looking at. And I think what makes it difficult for agencies like V8, Cyborg, you know, whatever other agency that is actually worth, you know, their salt, is that the expectations coming into a deal with the agency, if you don't teach your client how to eat at your table from get-go, they're going to expect, you know, I'm going to get X, Y, Z, I'm going to get this return. And, you know, I actually had a conversation with my uncle last week, and he said to me, listen, Catherine, you know, a bank, when you take your cash and you put your money in, you know, a savings account or a money builder account or whatever the case might be, your average growth on normal accounts can be about like 6% in a year. And if you think about, I mean, you've shown me your accounts, I've shown you some of my accounts. Sometimes we hit, you know, ROAS, return on ad spend, we hit between 4 to 30, depending on the client. And that growth is substantial. So I think the first thing that we have to realize as agency owners is that it's our responsibility telling the clients. I think my biggest lesson so far was it's my responsibility telling the client or the prospect from the get-go, this is worth it or it's not worth it. I think in the beginning when you start an agency, you just sign whoever. I mean, you know me in the beginning. In 2020 lockdown, I signed anybody. And then I kind of realized over time, listen, you can't help the world. You can't help every industry. You can't help companies with low margins, bad product, no need in the industry. It's like, you know, we're marketers. We can only put the product out there to the right audience with the right message, you know, but we can't. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's sometimes not comfortable speaking to a business owner going like, listen, you should charge more, or, you know, listen, this isn't working, maybe focus on that product, because then you kind of get involved in their business.
Yeah.
And I think that's sometimes the issue that we have. We're the marketing agency, you know, helping that business, their service, their e-commerce store, whatever the case might be. But there's also only so much we can do. We can give our advice and recommendations, but then the company at the other side
Needs to take accountability.
they need to, but they also need to hear you out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I watch a lot of your videos as an example, like a lot of your videos, because I just like the way you think and how you express yourself. But it's like, I had this one client, a simple story, but she had has an e-commerce store for clothing, and her margins were very tight. It was like, I think 15% of every order, you know, was semi-profit. Average basket size 1,000 Rand. So let's say on every order, her profit is 150 Rand. But her cost to acquire that sale was 120. So she made $30 profit a order.
Yeah.
So if I didn't sell, like, if we didn't push like 300, 400 orders per month, you know, she couldn't pay the marketing, pay her own salary and so forth. And I had to, after like 3 years, tell her, listen, I know I need to, like, you know, you're expecting A, B, C, but we have to look at the nitty-gritties. And that's what I like about your videos. It's like, yes, you can have the best marketing agency, the best gurus, whatever, but you have to look at the business basics and fundamentals first. And then you as an agency owner, you have to evaluate, listen, is this a good fit? Can I give substantial growth? And, you know, can I take this client on? So, yeah.
It's like we get a lot of people who inquire working with us on a monthly basis, and only 10% of them, if that many, make it through the gates.
Mm.
And it's not because we want to be difficult in nitpicking who we want to work with.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of those businesses are not an actual fit for the service that we offering. And
Yeah.
they assume that it is. Is your phone on silent?
Wrong button, auditing needs it, and that's just staying the
I love it.
I'll start that again.
No, blooper reel. I love it. I love that.
For now.
Just just keep it in. I love it.
So I think just recapping what I was saying is that as a company, we get a lot of people who inquire to work with us on a monthly basis, but a very small percentage of people actually make it through the gate. And
Yeah.
it's not because we're trying to be difficult and nitpicking who we want to work with. It's truly because a lot of those businesses are not a fit for the actual service that they think they actually need.
Yeah.
And that is a question that I maybe want to ask you, and I think it's something that we can shed some light on, is that a lot of business owners think they need a specific service,
Yeah.
but they actually don't. There's a lot of other things they need before the actual
Service,
digital
yeah.
marketing.
Hands down.
And maybe we can touch on that, is that what do businesses need to reflect on? What boxes do they need to tick internally before they actually approach a marketing agency? Because we see people approaching marketing agencies, signing with marketing agencies, but then they were actually never a fit for that agency, or they weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
And most agencies in South Africa are desperate for people's money. So they're always going to say, yes, we can help you. And it's either one of two things. They're either saying it, yes, maliciously because they are selfish and they want to cover their own bills,
Yeah.
or they're not necessarily being malicious, but they're naive, thinking that they can truly help when they actually can't.
Yeah. Dunning-Kruger 101. It's like, I think my answer is going to be a bit unconventional, but I think before you even approach a marketing agency, a copywriter, web builder, designer, whatever you think you need, I think you first have to ask yourself as a business owner, do I have a business here? And I know it sounds weird, but it's like you have to go like, am I currently without digital marketing? Like, let's say, for example, if you're not an e-commerce store, or you are an e-commerce store and you've been doing your own ads, but you have to ask yourself, do I have a business here? Am I turning money? Am I closing deals without all these fancy,
Bells and whistles.
exactly. And when you go like, yes, I have a business here, then you have to go, okay, cool. So how do I acquire my clients? How do I sustain my clients? And how do I get those clients to recur? Because it's either, new sales or recurring sales. And then when you have those conversations with yourself, and luckily today with ChatGPT, and I just by the way, anybody that is watching this, I love ChatGPT. ChatGPT 1.0 actually dropped 2 days ago. You should check it out. It has rational thinking. It's insane. But you could speak to ChatGPT and say, this is my issue, this is my industry, these are my goals, this is my constraints, this is my capacity, blah, 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 blah. And it will give you all the answers to just give you like a bit of a framework. Then only when you have that, right, then you have to go, okay, cool. Am I looking for brand presence? Do I want to look pretty online, or do I want money? Now, something that I have, like, again, I think this is why I resonate and relate so much with you in general, is that, guys, we have to understand this, that there's different kind of agencies. There's like, if you hear, oh, I have a marketing agency, especially in South Africa, that's a very wide term. That might be, oh, I'm a content creator, I keep pages online, active. I post reels, I post organic posts, or whatever the case might be. Or it could be like, oh, I make websites, or other agency could be, I do videos, But what you're looking for is a paid media marketing agency that specializes in conversion ads or lead generation. That's, in my opinion, the bottom line. Yes, there's a bigger recipe when it comes to, I know your ways, you're always like, it's top funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel. I know there's a mix, but the thing is, I think when you decide, after evaluating your business, when you decide, listen, I want an agency, you have to be clear to yourself, what is your expectations? Do you want to put money into something and make money back? Or do you want to look pretty online? There's nothing wrong with either or. But you, as the business owner, you need to go like, listen, if I'm going to invest in marketing, what do I want from that? And then when you have that answer to yourself, reach out to the right, agency. But I think a lot of people can't answer that. I think that's our issue.
Well, I think we had this chat earlier. Me and Johanna had this chat, and we were saying a lot of people don't know what they want. They think they know what they want. And
Yeah.
two things. There's a romantic want, and then there's an actual business need that they want.
Yeah.
And the two needs are romantic, and the one is actually a business objective.
Yeah.
And the romantic one is, I want my brand to look beautiful. I want people to love, my products. I want people to comment and engage with my business online. I want to get people talking.
Mm.
That is the romantic need often. And the more objective and short-term, but very important need is I need money in order to cover my rent, to pay my salaries. And when you ask people, what do you want? They sometimes navigate to the subjective needs,
Yeah.
the romantic needs, and not so much the actual I need sales.
Yeah.
And when they do gravitate to, or when they an objective business owner that's thinking logically about things, they go, look, I need sales. Most of the time they go, but I also want these things.
Yeah.
I want sales first, but I also want all of these things. And I think then it's like, well, you're contaminating, a bit of the strategy here, because yes, we can do all those things for you, but everything comes at a cost and everything has a trade-off. And I think what a lot of business owners don't understand, and what a lot of agencies don't have experience in, is actually looking at what does the actual business owners need on the other side of the phone call, or the other side of the video call. What is the actual need that they want? And understanding that the business owner might not even know what they need, you need to be experienced enough to clarify this is what you need. Then you need to be able to connect a second variable, and you have to bring that variable into the equation, which is how much resources do you have to actually reach this goal that you need?
Yeah.
And then they're going to say, well, I have X amount of money, or okay, great. Now you've got X amount of money. Now with that X amount of money, we have various options.
Yeah.
We can service the romantic need, but that's not going to help you cover your rent. Or we can service the actual business objective, which is sales. But then we're going to have to put these things aside for a little bit until we have enough money to fund that luxury.
Yeah.
And I think that is very difficult to do. And I think not a lot of people have that experience when they're having a video call with a client, because when the client's on the other side, they go, I have money and I want to do marketing, digital marketing. And they go, amazing. How much do you have? And they just sort of start selling them the services that they actually asking for, as opposed to going, hold on, but you don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need this.
Yeah.
Here's actually what you need.
Yeah, but Jandre, with that, I think with any new agency owner, if you're new in the game, guilty as charged with that in the beginning when I started. You just wanted to help people, and you wanted to, show them your talents and show them case studies. But look, I did that for that, and you yourself think, oh, I can help everybody. And I think with experience and losing a lot of cash, whether it's ad spend or clients or whatever, you start learning that, this is, yes, it's marketing and it's fun, but it's also not a game. It's people's money. And for me personally, I always say God had a very funny sense of humor. He made me and put me in South Africa in a third world country and gave me digital marketing skills and went like, survive. And sometimes if I look back on that, or if I actually reflect on that story, I find a lot of like purpose and pride in that, because at least there are people like you, me, that actually do care about the bottom line. But based on the previous thing that you said, I read an article the other day where it actually says if your business grows with more than 20% per year, that's actually not a good thing. It's not long-term sustainable for that company to build the infrastructure and stuff to, sustain that growth. So I think also sometimes it's nice doing marketing where you spin and win, get massive ROAS or returns, and people are also so focused on ROAS, but we all know besides the first sale, the recurring sale and the lifetime of that sale means way more, right?
So I think short-term money is a bit overrated. Like everybody wants short-term money, and I think that's where the double and triple digit growth comes from. Is like you going from 50K to 100K. That's 100% growth. Amazing. But that's easy to do. Yeah. But getting from 1 million to 3 million, that's different. And going from 3 million to 10 million, that becomes a different equation as well. And I think in essence, growing from the study might be correct, but there's obviously, we can unpack the study, but there's a lot of variables that I would like to
I always do
unpack
videos and it's like unpacking.
But we can poke some holes into that as well, because 20% growth, I'm assuming that's more established businesses, but a business growing from 10 grand to 12 grand, that's 20% growth. I'm pretty sure that's sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it obviously depends on the size of the business, and also knowing what variables you need to control, because we have a business, it's called Loot Nutrition, and it's literally, I've never seen anything like that. I think I've told you about it. It's doing exceptionally well, and the growth is insane. However, at the same time, we constantly sitting every single month going, what did we do right last month?
Yes.
Because we need to control all of these variables.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of business owners don't understand is when things are going well, They just go, say, chill back, and they go, well, let's go on holiday, let's revamp my kitchen, let's get a new car, let's hire some people so we can continue growing.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 months later, all of that growth is gone because they didn't actually scrutinize where the growth came from. And then they realize, oh, it came from 1 or 2 influencers that made a post and never did it again.
Yeah.
And now they realize most of the revenue came from a strategy that you cannot predict or control.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to scrutinize when you're actually succeeding as a business, so that you can start rolling the variables a little bit better to ensure that there is a good chance that you can continue growing at that rate. But then there's also the back end, which is the study is referring to, is that not a lot of people think about the back end when it comes to growth. Like, how are you going to be able to ship all these products out?
Yeah.
Have you considered the fact that you need a bigger warehouse? Have you considered the fact that a bigger warehouse means more staff? Have you considered the fact that now you might need someone to coordinate projects within the team internally?
Yeah.
And I think that's the things that people don't obviously think about when it comes to growth, which is why that study probably makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like I used to have this. I mean, you know, we've had endless phone calls, in the sense of when I need somebody to relate to and just understand, like the closest person that I normally, know of is you, because we kind of like almost do the same thing. But in the first few years, I had a bit of a, like the first 2-3 years, it was like still now and then, but you have a bit of a victim mentality where it's like, agencies are so hard and this and, staff turnover and this and But now lately it's a bit different. I've got a lot of empathy for business owners, because think about this, Jandre, as well. Like, they always say a mechanic's car is the worst, but he fixes everybody else's car. Or a hairdresser, her own hair is not great, but she makes everybody else look pretty, right? So I think in South Africa, where my viewpoint is starting to change, I'm really trying to understand these companies contacting us. I think they are so busy being busy with their service or product for their people, right, that they forget about their business in general. They forget about, how does my budgets look? What is my actual marketing spend? What should I be doing here? They're not focusing on their own issues. And then they contact the marketing agency, when we have demo calls, and we're like, yeah, cool, tell us the story, and we think about it the best we can with the time limit we can, but we can't, I think consultation has a very good benefit there. I think before people even just sign with the agency, consult with the owner for 3-4 sessions, do a good consultation, then get a quote, But it's difficult, because I think we're all trying to, in South Africa, especially again with this economy, and I know, yes, some people will say, yeah, but don't look at that. But it's a reality. People are in small, medium businesses. They're trying to pay their people. They're trying to get the bonuses out and the increases out and stuff. And they're not looking at their business, not looking at certain departments, definitely not looking at their marketing. Also assuming that the marketing department is the sales department. I mean, we can speak about that for long. But I mean, that's why I like e-commerce, because it's like money out, money in. But have you not seen with a lot of lead generation clients, you might send them good leads, at a good price, but you have no control over their sales staff and what they're doing then. Then we go like, oh no, let's automate it. But let's be honest, like at the end of the day, I think if you're a business owner and you want to sign with the agency, number one, do some consultation, coaching, a few conversations before just jumping into it. And I mean, every agency, you can look at social proof, you can look at reviews, you can look at videos and content. But I think, I always, in a sales pitch, I tell all the prospects, if I owned your business, this is what I would have done. And I try and make that as sincere as possible. But lately, I think through failing so much, I kind of know what clients I need to sign. I kind of know what clients work, what doesn't work. I'm straight up with the clients beforehand. And I say, listen, dude, I wouldn't suggest this. I would suggest, for example, coaching, or, if they really want to sign on, they're like, no, but I want you, like, that's it. Then I'll tell them, okay, cool, but you must understand this is marketing.
And this is going to be a risk.
It's like, and a lot of people, I don't know if you get this, but sometimes you get companies that contact you and like, yeah, no, we know it's going to be a risk, right? So how about a commission deal? And I'm like, listen, like, now, funny enough, I'll, one morning, if you want to join, I do morning sessions with people, but to anybody watching this as well, it's a lot of work. People think it like from an agency's perspective, they think, yeah, You just load an ad, man. Just load that ad. Here's the thing. It's so much more. It's like making sure your tracking is right, making sure the pixel is firing correctly, looking into Google Analytic tags, making sure that your remarketing strategies, that one audience doesn't overlap a other audience from a different platform. It's so much. That's just technical. Then it's creative, messaging.
Psychological, yeah.
It's a lot. So, at the end of the day, you need to jump to an agency when you're ready to commit, I think, long term, and also go in with a good mindset, and also us, from our side with the clients, the expectations need to be very clear, because otherwise, if the relationship starts, you could give that person a unicorn and they expected, a new galaxy.
100%. Expectations is a big thing. I think not a lot of people feel comfortable being assertive and candid about what is going to happen. I think everybody speaks. When you jump on a call with someone, it's all thumbs up, smiles, and everything's going to be great, and we're going to help you. I think there's very few people or agencies really who are very candid and assertive to go, listen, you might feel that you have a great business. That's amazing. Congrats on your success so far. But to be honest with you, we'd rather not take your money and you still think that we're good people, as opposed to taking your money and then calling us a-holes, months down the line. And I think that happens so often, is that people, we get seen as people who take advantage, or people who don't care, and people who, scratch their balls whilst getting paid for it. But I don't think a lot of businesses truly understand what happens on the back of an agency, how much thought goes into everything we do. And it's very sad. It's sad for not only the business owner, obviously, of the agency, but it's sad on the people who are actually working at an agency, because I see the late night messages, I see the neurotic text messages, I see, how much time they've spent on a weekend to try and steer things on track when the client came in thinking it's a silver bullet or it's going to be a Hail Mary approach. And often I think, people don't need help when things are going well, but when things are going south, that's the moment they want to jump to an agency. And that is, in my opinion, the worst kind of client to sign, is someone who's on a decline, someone whose business is in distress. As much as you want to help that person, there's almost a bigger risk in trying to help them, because they're going to have to pay a management fee, they're going to have to pay ad spend. So that money now needs to work for them. Otherwise, they're going to be extremely stressed out and anxious and completely emotional in their decision making. So I think a business that's in distress, that's where consulting and coaching is probably the best thing to do, because that business owner needs to understand why her business is in distress. She or he needs to understand why things are not going right, why things are not going their way, because they think usually it's marketing. If more people knew about my product, I would, do extremely well. And exactly, and it's partly true, but often you'll find that great businesses already do well without exceptional marketing. And like you said earlier, are you already getting some organic sales? Are you posting on groups and people are messaging you asking for the product? Are they then replying after they've tried a product saying, hey, this is amazing, I love it? Are you getting those responses? Are you getting those organic sales? Because if you're not, it's maybe the product is not that unique. And I think also people underestimate how unique the brand needs to be today in order to stand out. And I have this video that I created where I explained there are 3 tiers of a CPA. And the CPA that's the lowest is usually when you're the only person in the market when you sell that product. Then the CPA goes up a little bit when you are very unique in the market. And then the CPA is extremely high when you're just like everybody else. So if your business is just like everybody else, guess what? You can expect high CPAs, low ROAS, and a decline in revenue. When your business is unique in a saturated market, there's a good chance you can still make it work. When your business is the only one in the market, that's when you should go hard on your marketing and push as hard as possible. And I think it's identifying where that business actually is on that scale. Where are you? Are you just another number that's doing exactly what everybody else is doing? Are you doing something unique? Is there a way that we can actually make this work because of that uniqueness? Or are you the only person that's doing this and this is a huge want and need in the market? Because then almost any agency can make it work. Because ultimately then anybody who's just finished an entry-level Facebook ads course will be able to 3x your business because you have such a unique product and the only product in the market that's actually catering to a massive need.
I think it's more, again, I'm going to have empathy with the businesses in the sense of, I believe, and you know me, yes, you get your businesses that aren't in distress and the nice clients that you should sign and, the ones that are prepared to do A/B split tests and this, they prepare to walk the journey with you and, invest that. Because I always tell people, you're not just investing in acquiring clients, you're investing in finding your client, which is dangerous because once you know who your client is, you know what products or services to provide to them.
Exactly.
But I think from my side, where I'm a bit different, and it's literally been biting me on the arse the last few years. I'm in Cyborgs now. I'm in year 5. Apparently, they say year 5 is like, make or break point. So let's see. But I think that where I'm different, I love helping the small guys. I love helping them, and it's a problem sometimes because no, I'm serious. It's a problem because it's like you want to help them so much, and you want to help that person scale, and you want to mentor them and coach them and make them believe and show them the way. Because my background. I used to be a musician. I didn't have trust fund money where it was like, hey, start an agency. I literally, the previous agency where I met you at, I applied by them the first year. They didn't hire me because of skill. And I was like, what? I can do emails and websites and do posts. And they were like, you don't know anything about paid media. So what I'm trying to say is I really forged my way in this industry. And because I saw, there's good times and bad times, but I saw financially how it impacted my life, right? And then sometimes you want to help these people with the same thing. And the issue is that, some of them, there's big ones. I mean, I told you about that other lady this morning. She's from Cape Town, and her return of ad spend is like 30. And it's like, she's now, she's 63, 64. And every time I talk to her, I'm like, Danny, ons gaan jou nou klim af te tree, because that gives me joy. But I do think, though, even if we're trying to find the cream of the crop, we should spot the smaller guys, and we should coach them and mentor them in a way, or they need to have the faith and take a jump with the agency, because at the end of the day, it's like we can only do what we can do, and I don't know how your team feels, but every day, not every day, but every second, third day, when I open Meta or Google or TikTok or whatever, oh, here's a new button. Oh, okay, cool. There's AI. We're also just trying to keep up, and businesses, I think something that I've seen with any business owner is they sometimes think hiring in-house, and this is something I actually just want to bounce off you, but they think hiring in-house is going to solve their marketing needs, because now there's a girl or a guy in their company taking the content, building on the website, running the ads and so forth. But I mean, how many demo calls have you done with prospects in the past? I mean, I think I'm probably by, and not even to exaggerate, I think I've done more than 1,000 calls easy on demos. And every time I show these people that jump from the other agencies and come to us, or somebody that hasn't worked from an agency, or they're doing their own ads or whatever, if I show them conversion ads and I show them, how this actually works and how the feedback loop from the website to the campaign works and da-da-da-da-da-da, they're all like, oh, I just saw fire for the first time. Because everybody ends up, boosting a post and getting likes and shares, like your shirts, like don't pay the rent. So what I'm saying is that I think there's a big gap in the market when it comes to the skill set, and I don't think hiring in-house would necessarily solve that at all.
Well, it depends on the business, I suppose. There are businesses who might benefit from a paid media specialist, and they can obviously take the 8 hours a day and just focus on optimizing campaigns and doing what they need to do. I suppose that is a true reality. That's an objective reality that's very possible and plausible, probable.
For your bigger brands, Jan, and for your new guy.
I think small to medium-sized businesses, I think it is difficult to do. Even if you had someone, most people, what happens when they hire in-house, that person has a lot of time for the first 3-4 weeks, maybe even 2 months. And what happens is they start to adapt all the roles in marketing. So they start to adapt the content creation, the emails, the posting, the scheduling, creating, managing the community, posting in Facebook groups. Before you know it, they have so many tasks on their plate that I can't actually optimize their campaigns anymore.
Yeah.
And I think, in essence, what people need to understand is that if you hire a marketing person, then make sure that you hire them for a specific role. Hire them to be your paid media specialist if you want to. But then you need to make sure that you can pay their salary every single month and that you do what's best for them. You can include a roadmap to success, and you can ensure that you can cover bonuses and increases every year and whatnot.
But Jandre, you have to understand, like every time I speak to you about stuff like this, and I'm just having a heart to heart with you, you're a very, let's call it, well-formulated person. You know, you look at something like, let's say, for example, we always, like, sometimes when we speak about Age of Empires, the game map, you kind of like zoom out and see everything for what it is, you know, from a macro kind of oversight, and then you go in and look at every single section and see how can I collectively make everything better. I'm net gegaan, boys. Okay, so you collectively look, how can I make everything better, and you zoom in on those sections, which is fantastic, and I admire it, because you create kind of like this this blueprint where you're like, what avatar am I today? How am I going to operate in life? You know, like, what's the adventure today, right? But I think also that's client dependent. You know, there's a lot of people, and it's not awful people. It's great people. It's great people. They do awful things. But they're good people. I've met business owners where they're literally on a call with me saying, like, listen, I've paid a web agency, you know, to make me a website, but they normally do these $4.99 a month deals, you know, and then when they cancel, the website goes away. But they're like, okay, cool. Now I've paid them for a website. I've paid an ad agency. I've paid my sister's cousin's niece for TikTok content creation and all this stuff. And on those calls, they literally tell you, listen, I've invested 50, 60K. I haven't turned 1 cent, right? Please help me. And then you kind of look at them going like, okay, I'll help you, but why did you invest so much money from the get-go? And then when they make a decision to go to a good agency, as an example, the good agency has to kind of like prove the opposite, and the pressure is 10 times higher. So all I'm saying is, it's like, you're saying, yeah, but you can hire somebody in-house and da-da-da.
Depends on how you define small business, right? I think there are small businesses who can afford it, and there are small businesses who can't. It's dependent on the needs of the business.
But like, they can print flyers.
100%.
And they can do billboards. No, I'm against it. Like, if you're a small business and you're doing traditional marketing, rather put that into digital.
100%. But the point I'm trying to make is that every business is unique, and there might be a role for someone full-time based on the business, based on the revenue and the profit. And I don't want to make a blanket statement that says no business should hire someone in-house. But I do think it comes with a massive risk, and it comes with a huge, something to contemplate. Like, you have to contemplate whether you can actually afford the person full-time. You can't, if you're going to fire them, it's going to be difficult to, if they're not doing a good job. Like, you're going to have to go through compliance, exercises to make sure you're doing it legally. And that's obviously where an agency is very beneficial, depending on the terms of the agency. But most agencies are 30-day cancellation. But it's finding the right partner that you want to grow with. Like, I don't want to use the word agency, and I know this is a cliche and a bumper sticker to some extent, but it's like really finding someone who truly cares about you as a business and a business owner, and who wants to continue working with you and wants to see you succeed. And I think often the good-hearted, warm and loving perspective gets taken advantage of, because the business owner on the other side is distressed, and they can give a rat's ass whether you've put in 20 hours of the day, or whether you have worked the whole weekend.
No, they're paying you to job.
Exactly. And I think
Arbeid mag vrij.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a matter of understanding that at the end of the day, it's a bit more nuanced, it's a bit more complicated. Ideally, you want to find someone who's competent, that you can trust, and that actually cares for you. That's all it is. If you're a business owner out there looking for an agency, it's up to you to find someone who cares about you, someone that you can trust, and someone that's competent.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 boxes I think an agency needs to tick.
Yeah, hands down. And I think, just to add on to that as well, I think you have to you have to also be clear with the client beforehand. Like, listen, I know I'm your agency, but I service a lot of clients, because I've seen that also before. Somebody might, it's almost like they get codependent, like in the sense of they like the guys that do well and stuff, they latch so much onto your words, and you're so vital and pivotal for their growth of their business. But from your end, it's like, listen, my dude, I get this, it's cool, we're we're doing this, but I've got 30, 40, 50 other people to kind of like worry about. And I think, again, pressing to the previous statement where I said, make sure that you sign up with an agency that's right for your needs. I think that quality over quantity is actually a thing. I don't think posting 5 times a day on your walls, on your TikToks, on your YouTubes or whatever, like I don't think doing a lot is effective. I think doing things strategically and lethally is way more effective. And I believe that if you can show that to a client in the first month, because we all also know how this works. You can evaluate, you can look at your previous case studies, you can look at the market, all that stuff. But let's be honest, you run the ad, you see the results. So I just think if people, I mean, I've seen your ads as well, and some people maybe I've seen mine, but that's why, like, book a consultation with the agency and tell them everything. Show them your ad accounts. Let them audit the ad accounts, because we can, within 5 to 10 minutes, we can kind of see like, that. Sometimes I've seen 9, like, I'm not going to do a blanket statement again, that you referred to previously, but I've seen, honestly, and I'm like, if I'm not talking shit now, I've seen 70 to 80% of the time, the reasons why some of the ads fail is because the technical setups and foundations aren't right. They're building conversion ads, but nothing's being tracked in Events Manager, or the API is not. So I just think, whilst you're with the other agency, don't go like, I'm done with the supplier, next supplier. Like, whilst you're at the other agency, talk to a few other agencies, let them audit you, like, have a conversation, learn about your business. And if you don't have time to do that, get somebody to do that, because something I admire about you a lot is that you look at your own business a lot, and you are working at your business instead of in your business. But you do, because we all do to a certain extent. But something I do admire about you, you've always been looking at V8, and it's just something that I've been seeing in your journey. You've been looking at V8, and I always see improvements, Jandre, every single time. And it's like, I don't know if somebody has said this to you, and I sincerely mean this. Every single time I open your website, your landing page, with your socials, your whatever Jandre is busy with next, right? I always see, he's got a better camera, he's got a better mic, the landing page is a bit more copy, they updated their reviews. You really take care of your business whilst businessing with other businesses, right? And I think a lot of business owners can learn from that. It's cool providing your service and your product and so forth, but you have to take care of your business constantly. And yeah, that's something that you should be very proud of.
Sam, I appreciate that, man. I think I've learned a lot of lessons the long way, the scenic route.
Yeah.
And then I've had a lot of good people consult and also give me perspectives and advice. And I think it's a mix between the two that's got to me to understand that at the end of the day, if you're really passionate about your business, then there's 2 elements of it. It's passionate about the impact that you're making, but also passionate about making sure it's healthy.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that people sometimes neglect, is that they focus on the impact they want to make, but they don't understand that if the business is not healthy internally, you can't make that impact.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You can't just focus on the health. You can't just focus on the business as a whole and not actually the product that you're delivering. Because, then the business is going to fall apart. So it is really scales that you have to balance. So it's focusing on the surrounding products of the business and how that's making an impact in people's lives or services, but then also the actual internal health, whether that's culture, whether that's the people that you're hiring, whether that is skills, upskilling, whether that's a new mic, whether that is whatever that might look like. And I think it's finding that balance is hard. Like you said, the mechanic doesn't, they very rarely have time to fix their own cars.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you stop being reactive. I think this is my final thought on our conversation, is like, I think a lot of small business owners, this is a quote that I have, kind of like trademarked, is that small business owners are 80% emotional, 20% logical. millionaires are 50% logical, 50% emotional. Billionaires are 80% logical, 20% emotional.
Yeah.
And when you start to understand that running a business and growing a business is actually a science, you start to put your logical thinking hat on and you remove all subjective lenses and you remove your emotions from the equation. And then you got an opportunity to actually look holistically and go, cool, what is the next logical step that I need to take? And I think a lot of businesses live in survival mode. The business owners are in survival. They're emotional. And that makes it very hard to run a business with a clear mind, because your monkey brain is constantly noisy and telling you to rather do this, rather do that. Oh, here's an ad of someone who said he can help me for free. And here's a guy who says he's got a guarantee.
Yeah.
And, I've had one bad month. Let me see if I can help do this, because if I can't pay my rent at the end of the month, I'm going to be screwed. So because of the economy, businesses are obviously under a bit of pressure. Because of that pressure, business owners are in survival. Because of that survival mode, we're living, too much in our heads emotionally. And because of that, we make bad decisions that affect us long term.
Yeah. No, it's tough. But I again, bless your heart, you're very concise, and you add a lot of structure, I think, to people's minds and emotions. With me, there's a big level of empathy with these people, because I've seen the best people trying to make best choices ever, but they are, it's either they survived lockdown. I mean, I made the best friends with guest house owners and stuff in lockdown, just keeping them company on Zoom and saying okay, cool, let's build an ad together and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And funny enough, today, even if it wasn't, paid invoices and stuff, if it was more just me also making friends on the internet, which I think, I always loved the internet because of connection. So I also think that's why I like it. But the point is, today, if I want to go on a holiday or whatever, they because I helped them that time, they're like, oh, no, come here, it's fine. So all I'm saying is that, yes, we can look at life, and this kind of feels like Inside Out at this stage, because it's Inside Out is one of my favorite movies, but we can look at everything logically, and we can all have billionaire mindsets in South Africa, right? But in the same sense, I do think the people that are emotional and distressed and feel like, I don't know where I'm going, everything is everywhere, and I'm trying to get my business afloat, I have a lot of sympathy for that, because I mean...
Yeah, but you're missing my point, right?
Yeah.
It's not about everybody has empathy for them.
Yes.
I naturally believe that if you're a good person, you're going to have the utmost amount of empathy. I don't think you have more empathy than most people would have if they are good people.
Yeah.
I believe every person who's good-hearted will have a massive amount of empathy for that business owner. But the problem is, Facebook ads is not going to solve their problem all the time.
Yes,
so there's layers. What I'm trying to say is there are layers to the equation that needs to be unpacked.
Yeah.
There are layers that's the root of the issue.
Yeah.
So the root of the problem is because you are very emotional and reactive about your business, and you have to change the way that you think first before you actually start changing your business. The problem is nobody is direct and assertive with these business owners enough to the point where they can reflect on who they have become from a behavioral sense.
Yes.
How have I changed because of lockdown? How have I changed because of the stress and the anxieties I have in my life? How have I changed now that I don't have a retirement fund?
Yeah.
How have I changed since the divorce? So in essence, a lot of those people are taking the wrong route, if you will, and they need a bit more of a constructive route, a route that allows for self-exploration and discovery. So they can go, hold on, I'm the problem. I need to change the way that I think. I need to change the way that I act. I need to actually respond and not react to life.
Yeah.
And that is essentially when the biggest shift starts to happen. Is if you think that Facebook ad, not you, but if anybody thinks that, going to an agency and running ads is going to help that business owner whose root cause problem is fundamentally the way that they actually think about life, then you're putting a plaster on a bullet wound.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to say is we need to have all the empathy in the world for these business owners, but someone has to take accountability to say, hey, listen, you need to reflect on who you are as a person and how you actually navigating life, because that is the actual origin of all the issues that you're facing right now.
No, hundreds, but I think we're saying the same thing, just different. What I'm trying to say is, look how creative you were with V8 Capital as an example. Sometimes it's super difficult sitting with a business owner saying luister hier so Jannie, hoorie, wil net vir jou sê,
daai skoene kan ek daar kry vir dieselfde prys of like
10 keer goedkoper.
jy verstaan wat ook al die storie is. Jy kan ek bedoel onthou mense wil nie en hulle kan hierdie uitbeep, maar mense wil nie hoor hulle besigheid skak nie. Hulle wil dit nie hoor nie. Verstaan? Ek wil nie hoor my besigheid skak nie.
Sure.
Jy wil nie, jy verstaan. But if you can't have those hard conversations where I'm saying we should have empathy for, is in saying, instead of saying, listen, you can't go through the gate, so Peter Leclerc, jy kan nie deur die hek kom nie, right? If you can't get through the gate in the agency model, right, then, like I said, coach, train, but for you, for example, with, like I said, V8 Capital, you're having real conversations with e-commerce business owners or business owners saying, listen, we know you're good at doing this thing, right? But we're really good at doing this thing, right? So let's do this thing together, you know, like in an equity model or whatever. So all I'm saying is business owners in South Africa, instead of going like, I always believed this. One big issue about our culture or people in general, not just our culture, is we go, and I've been guilty of this every time when my ego kicks in, I'm guilty of it, but we go, mine. Where if we all actually just sit and go like, okay, cool, you've got a key, you've got a car, you've got petrol, let's go, you know? So I think instead of a business owner just choosing an agency, remember there are many ways to skin a cat. And like people like us, or in general, people that like making money, because I mean, I like making money. If I will attract other people that like making money, and there are different ways of making money. It's not always just an invoice.
And you can do it together.
Exactly.
Love it. Look, I think there's a lot more to unpack, but we've already been here almost an hour, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. I wish we had more time, but
About like 2 minutes.
I know, right? We should definitely do this again sometime. I think I can honestly say that you've probably become one of my best friends, and even though we don't see each other every day, like we do speak on the phone at least once or twice a week. And I think since I've met you, you know, there was obviously definitely an energy exchange, a mutual energy exchange of sorts. And I think we both resonate with each other being in the agency space. I want to thank you for coming on to the podcast and also just sharing a bit more of an authentic view of what it's actually like of running an agency.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't have my latte and my whole .com lifestyle.
.com lifestyle. You were supposed to do the Zoom call on the beach, remember?
Yes, I that's something that I always like with marketers and stuff. If you look at the best techies in the world, you know, those guys, they always have a hoodie and a jean on for a reason because they don't have to. But anyway, yeah.
100%. So I'm glad to see you not on a beach sipping a cocktail somewhere doing a Zoom call with your phone.
I wish I would.
And about to go on a stand-up paddle adventure. But from my side, yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. Much love to you. Thanks for joining everybody else who's watching, if you're still watching.